Hello, everybody. This is Shankar from SystemBaseLabs. Welcome back to From Models to Autonomous Enterprise Systems. Now, in our previous session, we explored something very important. We discussed how artificial intelligence moved away from handwritten rules and started learning directly from data. And honestly, that transition changed enterprise computing forever. Now, today, we take the next step. Because once machines started learning from data, the next big question became how exactly do they learn? And this is where supervised learning enters the picture. Now, don't worry about the terminology for a moment. Let us simplify this practically. Suppose I show a child thousands of pictures of cats and dogs, and every single image already has the answer attached. Dog, cat. Over time, the child starts recognizing patterns: shape of ears, eye structure, body posture, tail patterns. Now, supervised learning works in a very similar way. Machines learn using historical examples where the correct answer is already known. That is why it is called supervised learning. Now, this became revolutionary for enterprises because for the first time, systems could start predicting outcomes instead of simply following instructions. That is a massive difference. Earlier enterprise systems were reactive, machine learning systems became predictive, and prediction changed everything in the enterprise. Now, let me give you a real enterprise example. Suppose a bank wants to detect fraud. Earlier systems depended on handwritten rules. If amount exceeds this threshold, flag fraud. If location changes, flag fraud. If login happens at midnight, flag fraud. Very static, very rigid. But fraudsters evolve. Human behavior changes. Patterns change continuously. Now, supervised learning changed that approach completely. Instead of manually writing thousands of fraud rules, the system studies millions of historical transactions, and each transaction already contains the answer: fraud, not fraud, fraud, not fraud. And over time, the model starts discovering hidden behavioral patterns automatically. That is the breakthrough. Now, in machine learning, the information going into the system is called features, and the expected answer is called the label. Very important terms. Features and labels became the operational language of predictive AI systems. Now, architecturally, the flow became data learning prediction. And honestly, this changed enterprise architecture forever because suddenly organizations could predict things before they happened. Think about the implications of that. Banks predicting fraud, retail companies predicting customer purchases, hospitals predicting disease risk, factories predicting equipment failure, insurance companies predicting claim probability. And prediction became the core of operational intelligence. And enterprises started realizing something very important. Data itself had become a strategic asset. Now, another major concept emerged here: model training. Now, training simply means the system repeatedly learning from historical examples and improving prediction accuracy over time. Very important phrase: prediction accuracy, because machine learning systems are not trying to become human, they are trying to become statistically reliable. That is a very important distinction. Now, of course, this also introduced new enterprise problems: bad data, biased data, incomplete data, poor training quality. And organizations learn this lesson very quickly. Poor data creates poor intelligence. Garbage in, garbage out. That principle still exists today, even in advanced AI systems. Now, as machine learning matured, enterprises started building complete prediction architectures: data collection, data pipelines, feature engineering, training systems, inference systems, monitoring systems, feedback loops. And honestly, this is where AI stopped becoming just a research topic. It became enterprise infrastructure. Now, here is the bigger insight I want all of you to remember. Machine learning was not merely an algorithmic breakthrough. It was an operational revolution. Organizations shifted from transaction systems, and that shift eventually opened the door to deep learning, foundation models, generative AI, and now agentic AI systems. But all of those technologies still stand on one foundational principle: learning from data. Now, before we close, I want you to remember this one line. Supervised learning taught machines how to predict, and prediction became the operation foundation of modern enterprise intelligence. Thank you, everybody, for joining. This is Shankar from SystemBaseLabs. And in our next session, we continue Module 2, Video 3 of 6, Class 9, Supervised Learning and Pattern Discovery, where we will explore how machines started discovering hidden structures, relationships, clusters, and behaviors without explicit labels. And honestly, that is where machine learning started becoming truly intelligent. Thank you, everybody. This is Shankar from SystemBaseLabs, engineering the future of intelligence together.